Modern day life, modern day challenges, modern day conversations. Welcome to the Wellness Pod, a platform for community building, holistic living, and guided self-discovery. Join me, Wolf-like Ross, and certified life and wellness coach Agatha Atlholang as we explore blended families, the unique dynamics, challenges, and triumphs of the modern day family unit. In this conversation, we discover the ways by which to create harmony within the blended family structure. This episode is proudly brought to you by FS Mail Group. Good evening, you're tuned into Purple Nights, and every Thursday between 7:30 tonight, 7:45 and 8:45 we are on the Wellness Pod, proudly co-hosted by my good friend Miss Agatha Atlholang, certified wellness coach. Tonight, if you're just tuning in, we are on our third edition of a topic we started a couple of weeks ago on blended families. If you have missed, like I did mention earlier, our first two installments, don't feel like you can't be a part of the conversation today. It still unanimously applies to all of us, and it still is an important conversation to be a part of. All right, so if you can stick around for however long you can, we would greatly appreciate your ear as well as your input. We are open for this discussion with you on +267 3956 962. That is our WhatsApp line. You can call us on that number as well if you feel the need while we are talking to weigh in. All right, let me start by introducing my good friend Agatha. Good evening.
Good evening, Ross.
Hi.
I'm okay. Hi, how are you?
I'm fantastic.
And I think good evening to the listeners.
Please, yes.
Yes, good evening to the listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you're going to enjoy this final installment, is it?
I believe... That's what we said last week. We'll see where the night takes us. But yes, ideally it would be our final installment on, because, we don't rush through these topics, Agatha. We're having these conversations for a reason. And, if you are tuning in, like I said, to Wellness Pod for the very first time, this is really a community building platform. We've opened this little space here to be able to have conversations that we as Botswana, as a community, need to have collectively. Everything applies to us as a group, as a society. No one is exempt from any of the conversations that we have on this platform, luckily, because motho ke motho ka batho, and we need to have these conversations together, right?
Absolutely.
So maybe you'll start by explaining, Agatha, why it is that we are on episode 3 of Blended Families. What is there to talk about, Sesinzinzi?
Blended families are very, very complicated. They are very, very they call us to a higher standard. Where you have your first time marriage and your children in that first time marriage, it's a lot easier, because both of you are there. You're seeing your children grow. You're both happy as parents. And now, things don't work out. You've got a new partner. And, this partner's coming in with their own children. So you have to be intentional about it. And that's why we're having this conversation. And the different dynamics that surround blended families. When do we introduce kids? When do we tell our exes that we're seeing somebody? When do we bring everybody together? What is the role of the step parent? What is the role of the biological parent? And where people fit in, what are their roles? What are the boundaries? What are they allowed to do and what are they not allowed to do? These things are things that we need to be sitting down and having conversations around. And also, who's going to mediate this? When we're breaking up from our previous marriages, what is the purpose of actually getting along with your ex so that you can co-parent something, so that you can bring everybody into the picture? Like we always say, Ross, a child who comes into a blended family has actually gained extra adults to play roles in their lives, so to speak, So it's very important that we also learn how do we discipline? Because with blended families, it's a little different. It's less on, how can I say it? Correction and more on trying to establish a connection. That's the difference. That's the biggest difference.
Right.
So you're trying to win something over here, but at your own pace. And you'll find that people think it's going to be easy to blend a family. It takes about 4 years. And by
month 6, you could be fed up.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And there's just so much to go into. There's the different parenting styles that we spoke about last week. Ribuaka, authoritarian, authoritative, permissive, as well as neglectful. And I think we forgot one, which was helicopter parenting. Yes, helicopter parenting. Usually so to speak, always there. And helicopter parenting, to be quite honest, it really you'll see it more first-time parents who've been trying to have a baby, and it's been so difficult.
Right.
But I didn't really want to throw it in right now, but it does play its own role in that you could be coming in with that one child that you've struggled to have with your ex, you know what I'm saying? And now you've got this new family that's coming in, and you're still hovering. You hover over Bana, and you've got these new stepkids that you're hovering over, and they're kind of like, "Yo, ma'am, we need our space."
Yeah. Also, who are you?
Who are you? We also spoke about how important it is to understand that as a step parent, you are not the biological parent.
Yeah.
Now, this does not mean that hear what we're saying, not what we're not saying. It simply says it's important to understand that Wana will always ally their biological kids, and they see that. Also, children become very uncomfortable seeing other people with their biological parents.
Connecting.
Hey, you're connecting, That's why you need to ease Bana into this, because I've always said, Ross, it's very dangerous to use or weaponize children, to use children as weapons when we are fighting in terms of co-parenting. Because wana ene, no matter how quote unquote useless my father might be, or useless how my mother might be, if those are the words that you use,
they just love you.
Your child just knows that there's daddy and there's mommy, so we have to respect that.
Right.
We also spoke about how important it is for parents to understand that it's very, very important for the marriage, this new marriage, for us to actually have a united front and to build this marriage, as well as to build the relationship with the exes, our partners as well, so that when it comes to this whole thing, re-socialize bana into this new environment that might seem and deem as unstable for them, because they're not used to that. So there's a lot going on here.
And that is why we are on episode 3 of Blended Families, and quite unsure whether or not we'll move on to a 4th or not.
Did you see that Facebook page, that Facebook post?
We are getting to that now. Unfortunately, yes, I did see it.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
So what a recap. Thank you for just putting it into perspective for both the people who, our valued listeners who were tuned in to the last couple of episodes, as well as the ones and are just tuning into the conversation right now, right?
Absolutely.
So now that we have decided to blend families, and we've gone through the steps, or maybe have not, we have arrived at a point.
Yes.
Let's talk now about what you and I have called due diligence.
Yes.
Doing our parents understanding their roles within this new arrangement, as well as doing their due diligence. So what is that? How do we go about that?
We've got men in this equation. We've got women in this equation. We've got children in this equation. So each and every one has a different role, and everybody feels differently. In terms of the step, okay, here's Agatha. She's got her 2. There's John, he's got his 2. Now, we want to come together. My responsibility as the step parent is to really understand that I have to help in easing wanayo into this new mix, into this new environment. I cannot do that if I'm not working on myself. I cannot support Mwana Sinte. Like we said, Mwana, if you haven't carried them for those 9 months, you haven't seen them grow. You haven't seen them go through different stages. Sabone, it's very difficult. The child has been through so many different stages, has experienced different parents. So as the stepmom coming into the picture, you need to understand that you are a bonus mother. And being a bonus mom is like being an aunt.
I was about to say, would you liken the relationship or the role of a stepmom to that of an aunt? You are close, but you will never be this child's mother.
And the thing is, it is the child who decides how quickly they acclimatize to you and how quickly they want to call you mom.
Yeah, surely
bana ha ba braebega o itse gore bana ba ntsang ba dinokwane ba tatle more ba braebega ha ba tsena ka ba itshupa gore nya yo le ene wa tshameka we.
So they can be manipulative as well if they want to be.
Children have that element. It's called the shadow in psychology. So there's a way e leng gore o dira ka teng. So there you are as the stepmom. But you also come in with your gifts, your talents, and your knowledge, right? And also, you have to work on yourself. You are the parent who is going to be taking care of ngwana wa motho o sele. You will not always get a thank you from the other parent.
They will not acknowledge you the way you know.
More so, ha motho ha teng ena sa ikage. More so ha ile ro tsena mo relationshiping e leng gore bone ba ne ba santse ba lwa. So what your primary focus is the child, while giving the mother a certain level of respect. That's hard to do. That's very hard to do. That's why there's this element ya go ikaga that is so involved.
I don't want to take us backwards, but you know,
it does that. Ross, it just does that. You got to
we need to reflect.
Yeah.
You know, have you really considered what it takes to be in a relationship with someone with children?
I don't think people think about it. I think what people think about is what they want in the spur of the moment and how good a relationship feels.
I want this person, I must accept them in everything that they come with. But are you fit to handle that?
Are you emotionally, do you have the emotional intelligence? Do you even know what
the bandwidth? Do you have the bandwidth to deal with that? No, you don't.
Hey. So yeah, no, I can't know with like it's in your 20s, ubizu bata wana stepmom how?
Plus 267395696 and not Agatha, wait.
Yeah, so there's you, the stepmom.
Yeah.
And then similarly with the stepdad, it runs in the same way, you know. Obviously, you're bringing your sort of masculinity in it. You have to support your better half as well. And then it is what the listener needs to understand is that the biological parents. So bone ha ile gore ga ba itse gore di role tsa bone role ya bone e one ke go godisa ngwana o fully functionally ke gore ba tshwaraganye ngwana bana ba bone ba gole sente. So in terms of discipline, in terms of how we are doing things, we have to understand that the most important thing here is our children. So their roles is to do what? Is to grow with each other, set certain boundaries in how we are parenting, understand gore re bata bana ba ba golang ba ntse jang, so that ba khona go dira yang ba khomo go nne teng even when the different parents get married. Well, the parents get married to different partners.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like o batla go ya ko goreng you have to put the children first. Your feelings are and yourself as a person or as a parent is secondary to your children.
Absolutely. And most people will disagree with this and say, Agatha, kana o reela gore nna ga ke methare. I'm going to be very stern on this one. We are in our 30s, in our 40s, and in our 50s. We are the adults. We must know better.
Yeah.
We must understand that bana, the way ba process and do look at thing, ga go tshwanele mogolo a ka process and do that thing. So the expectation is that when o mogolo, you've been around long enough, you know gore sometimes you have to put yourself hamoragonyana for the sake of bana. It is what it is. It's never going to change. No matter what kind of little philosophies we try to sell people, the bottom line is your child is going to grow up and say, Mama, you should have known better. Papa, you should have known better. And they will come for you.
And they will not hold back. Plus 267 Plus 267-3956-962. That is our WhatsApp line. If you'd like to throw in a comment or a question, you are absolutely welcome to do so. If you're just tuning in, 8:01 is your time on Gabs FM, Power to Engage Your World. You're tuned into the Wellness Pod. We do this every Thursday between 7:30 and 8:30 p.m. I sit down with my good friend, certified wellness coach, Miss Agatha Atlholang, known on the streets as the Boss Lady.
Yes.
And, tonight we're having a chat about blended families. All right, let's take a little break and then we'll come back on the other side of this. If you're just tuning in, then you have landed right in the middle of a conversation that we are having on the Wellness Pod here every Thursday from 7:30 to 8:30 tonight to 8:45 because we've started a little bit late tonight, and during the show sometime we will be crossing over to my good friends Tepa Slow and Miss G, who are with our friends at FNB. All right, so stick around, see what they have in store for you. Right now though, we're going to continue our conversation on blended families. Plus 267-3956-962 is the number to dial, or WhatsApp. We'll even accept a voice note because we do love to hear your voice after all. All right, let it be consistent with the topic at hand. All right, plus 267, that number again, 3956-962. All right, so we've talked about the fact that, Agatha, parents must understand their roles.
Yes.
And we're talking about parents, biological parents, as well as to be step parents or step parents, right?
Yes.
In the upbringing of the child, because we are centering the children in these arrangements when we blend families.
Absolutely. And like we said, Rosiriri, you do not, I need to stress this again. I cannot divorce myself from my children. You cannot divorce yourself from, as the guy, as divorce yourself from your children. You know what I'm saying? So what you need to understand is that your ex is always going to be a part of your life.
Yeah.
This is something that we know, that we have to understand. Like I said, swimming galas are coming. Report days are coming. Soccer matches are coming.
Child is about to become a teenager. They're about to start behaving badly.
Absolutely.
You have to have a united front.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The child is going to end up getting married at some point. The biological father needs to give away their daughter. Those things, just because. So those people who are entering into these relationships, the one thing that I want you to understand is that mosadi o mo shahela le nosi o tsa go tele monna a ke ke rona le nna le monno but know that this person will always be a part of your life and vice versa for your partner. So we've got to really understand that go botlhokwa tota gore re tlhaloganye gore di blended family ga di motho.
Yanung, because we do everything in real time here and we deal with issues as they come.
Yes.
You asked me earlier about a Facebook post that is doing the rounds right now. It's gone viral.
Yeah.
And the thing about content that goes viral, it attracts both negative attention and positive attention as well. So from what I understand, Honale Memongo Oileng Gore has called out another lady who is supposedly the stepmom of her child.
Yes.
Gore o postela ngwana ke ne ke rile supposed posting ngwanake. We've had this conversation before. This is not the first time.
Yeah.
You as a step parent and me as the mother of this child, I have asked before, do not post my child on social media.
Yes.
But here you go again. So, it's a risen debate across the platforms. And, that kind of thing. Can we just get into your thoughts about that, having seen that today?
For me, I am very clear across the board, and I negotiate. The relationship, bana, have no business being on Facebook and on Instagram and all sorts of things. The generation don't have a sense of privacy, and I've seen that it has trickled down even to the adults, which is actually quite disturbing, because I don't understand how baholo kana bana le bone ba tsamaya ba bona baholo ba dira dilo ebe ba tsela gore dilo di siane. Now what you need to understand is that the internet has receipts.
The internet never forgets.
Not only that, the internet has a lot of very broken people. Go na le di pedophile go na pedophiles, right?
Yes.
Go na le batho hela ba eleng gore ga ba nna sente ha le ntse le posta bana yana. This is not even Oscar posta ngwanaka type of thing. Before even that, it's just a logical thing to understand gore they are very weird people out there. Ba eleng gore ga ba nna sente ha le ntse le posta bana ba lona yana, you are making your children vulnerable.
Yeah.
Le dira gore batho ba ba sa nnang sente ba bone bana ba lona ba eletsa dio tse di sa nnang sente. So keep your children, period. Our stepmom, our biological mom, keep your kids away until your children are at a certain age that they are responsible enough gore bone ha ile gore la dumalana gore le nela bana di phone at a certain age, bone ba di radio tseo le gone mo under adult supervision. Kana gore mo gompieno, and that's why ke gore ke re parenting ya gompieno it's so permissive. Mo ileng gore bazadi le bona ga ba itse gore go iragalang kana mo maranyane. Ha ba itse gore bana ba bone ba rorogamo.
They've got their own Facebook accounts that they're doing
weird
that they're trying to get popular on, and they're making TikToks.
Do you understand what I'm saying? But going back to these two, right? It's two things for me. How do I end up posting your child? Clearly, your baby daddy ga itse go tsenya di boundary. You get what I'm saying? Ross, you are dating Tepo. Tepo na le baby mama. Wena, you are the girlfriend. You play your role mo life in ngwana, who introduces ngwana, all sorts. All the steps have been missed. Tepo le mmagwe ngwana ga ba utlwane sente, because ha ile gore they are a united front. O khonne yang wena a kere go na le di boundaries tsa gore go postiweng ga go postiweng, wena o khonne yang go o tsere ga itshesego. Nobody does that. I mean, a step parent doesn't just wake up and post a child without one person's consent, being the person who the parent who sengwe.
Yes,
that's my point.
Yes.
So gorela gore go hana, instead of really going for the stepmother, we have failed in our capacity as the biological parents. You see exactly what we've been talking about for the past week. Gore ka gore ga re hetsi dilo sente, ga re ne ha tsira bua gore ngwana ha re mo godisa A, B, C and D. Ebile ha go mo go diragala mo ha ile gore go ka nna yalo, that's ile re kgaoganang. Do those rules still apply? Even though we've got new people coming into our lives,
yeah.
So let's not be shallow. Let's be adults here.
Yeah.
And really look at this situation. Ya hore kana how ntalla. Bona le mongwe o dirang gore o ntalle o sa setting di boundary gore ga o go a bua le my ex like that.
Right. That is true.
Go mo go teng kana mo. And this is another conversation e leng gore ya tshela hela tota ya tshela. So lwena motho wa gago ke eng a sa manage motho wa gagwe.
I was about to ask you, by the way, this conversation is open. +267 3956 962. You can absolutely reach us, Kamogala. If you have an opinion on who should post, who should stepmom or stepdad be allowed to post the child, or, whose jurisdiction is that, whose decision is that, and what are your personal thoughts on the matter? +267 3956 962.
And then you'll also have the situation here, I feel like because you duella ngwana go di school fees, wena ga ona go pe ha o leng teng ebile ga o check ngwana ga o reng. I've got the right to dira ya ka ke bata. Wa bona, so you it's messy.
Yeah, that's very interesting. It's very interesting that you should say that.
Yeah,
actually.
it's messy. Yeah, no, that's why ke dio tsa di break up tse le dio tsa di co-parenting tse le di blended family, they are very messy. So the most important thing, like if you don't want to be in this kind of mess, bring in the intervention at the very beginning as biological parents, whether lenyalane kana hala nyalana.
Yeah.
Because we have to get the ground rules sorted out in the beginning. What starts wrong ends wrong. So if this blended family doesn't start right, it's going to end wrong.
So what you're saying is, mewa go address the child's stepmom online should have actually gone through the child's father. Why was she wrong to skip the dad? Because clearly, these people have, I don't know if they have access to each other.
If at all that was the case, because I think that's what happened. But in any case, where is this man? Order between these two women. Yeah. Where is this man? This woman, mahongwana. King asa kono go bua le rragwe ngwana amorare bona bua le motho a gago, because I do not appreciate this. So where is this man also? O tshwantse nga ba bua le this new girlfriend a mmolela gore hey it's hot in the kitchen.
Hot, yeah.
Let's respect the fact ya gore baby mama ka yone tota ga e batidio tseo. And then wena gape ke ntse se go rantse ro ka override the way the biological parent feels.
Yeah.
Ow. Kante dio tse ga di simple ne batho.
There's infighting, and this new couple the biological mother of the child, we're a family, and things are amazing.
You see, now that is all ego, and the worst thing about that is that when ego is all about this relationship, it's not going to work.
Oh my God.
Crickets.
8:14 is your time on Gabs FM, Power to Engage. Well, talking blended families here on the Wellness Pod. Your input is absolutely welcome. Maybe you need to sit down and really think things through, really comb through your decisions, and ask yourself if what you think you want is really what you want. All right, 8:15 is your time on Gabs FM, Power to Engage. We're going to take a couple of minutes and then be back on the Wellness Pod. That WhatsApp line again, +267 3956 962. You're tuned into the Wellness Pod. I sit here every Thursday with my good friend and certified wellness coach, Miss Agatha Atlholang, proudly known as the Boss Lady, and we dissect a theme that needs unpacking with you, whoever is out there listening to us right now. As a Motswana, these are conversations that we need to have as a community, right? No one is exempt from any of the conversations that we have. If it doesn't apply to you in the moment, it still might in the future, and it serves you well to have these conversations anyway. This is someone in studio shaking their head going, I'm exempt. Don't rope me into this, Ross. +267 3956 962 is the number to dial if you are roped in by choice or not by choice. We are on WhatsApp on that same number. Yeah. You can give us a shout. All right, we're talking about blended families. This is the third edition of this particular topic that we are speaking about. And the reason, we had never intended to have 3 editions of this, but the conversation really stretches out because it's so multifaceted multifaceted. We have to have so many different conversations because this is not a small thing. Blending a family is not as easy as just, two people falling in love and deciding that they're going to merge their families. It's a lot more than that, and it really has to be handled with the utmost care. And if it hasn't, there is still a light at the end of the tunnel. We say all the time, could absolutely change for you if you take the initiative to build yourself. Motswana, right? That's the theme that we are really driving towards here. We had a caller off air, on that conversation, blended families. I asked you, Moretsi wa Gabs FM, how you feel about blending families, and what your experiences are, and how you feel about how step parents relate to their children. Posta and all sorts of things. Shout out Mr. K in Mogoditane, who gave us a call off air. In his humble opinion, and that is Mr. K's opinion. Yes. Blended family is a waste of time, and if you're going to try to blend a family, just know that it is not going to go the way you need it to go. All right, let's take a caller here. Gabs FM, good evening. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So regarding the topic, I think I would have to agree with Agatha in here regarding respect to what it's upon the parents or about the boundary. This is what we agree on, and this is what we don't agree on. I get it. When I will tell where the other parent have a motor posted because but how do you mean to the harlogani? What about no one hour has no postal some gas and so the entire blame, as much as apostolic, apostolic is a third party being the step parent, be either the stepfather or the stepmom. The blame has to definitely go to the parents or no. It's something so easy. When I like my last 10 about and you'll be very happy. And tell I already come on Facebook on social media, mostly on Facebook. Tell the stepmother and stepfather are fighting over nothing. But they shouldn't even be put out on social media. And they themselves, the parents, are also forgetting what I can't by on social media. Social media, by being a digital platform, stays forever. It means that when I come also 10 years old, 15 years old, even 18 years old, why detail? Those are things the previous decided and talked about of them. Without the need of public scrutiny. I give you what are the shares or in shares and likes, or they're trying to find sympathy in the public, or which majority of the time you find what the public doesn't really care. It's all about the kicking and the laughing about the issues. Yes. Some also are not to go there your whole laundry, you put it on social media and everything. Also, how about Watabuaka we feel about tobacco. Main silly now only Simama, what there's a hunter about post about. So it's upon the parent where they should at all times and by all means possible protect Banababo. Yes. And how to protect your child. You guys sit down this is what you can do regarding one of our post there and you know what? This is what I can manage regarding one. It's sort of come so motaba. You're embarrassing the same person what you expect about thing for your child. You understand?
Thank you, Neil.
So sometimes it's also better safe. How do social media, people will share, will laugh and like and what.
You'll trend and then,
and that's pretty much it. You understand? So when now the partner had realized it, go through the right channels. You can either see the counselor can have my period or Tom with Mukana to happen, then I can one hike home. I get. Can I want to tell you can have my period by the reason hands in it or legible to find. So sometimes when I am and look at what you find, what is good for you, I get. Read the woman about posting on Facebook.
Thank you so much for calling in and listening to this feature. We appreciate your input so much, sir. Thank you so much. Cheers. Have a good evening.
Do you know what's so encouraging?
Yeah.
A whole M-A-L-E, male. Kana, this is what we call leadership.
Yeah.
Kana batho ba tlhaloganye gore ha mosadi a re ha basadi ba re ba thoka leadership ba ra yana ra batho ba ba khona bo re ba khona go bua yana. Ha gona mosadi o ka se kenga re etse re bua nyana.
Soft spoken, but everybody was just, we were listening. And yeah.
This is masculine energy.
Love it. So, the common theme, what I've taken away from what the gentleman who called said is siriti sangwana, re lebala siriti sangwana. This person, and I used to just pull my hair out talking about this and thinking about this, is that, bana baba tlhaleha, they don't stay babies forever. Ka mosole no tsogale mo social media, and yes, the internet is forever. I'm going to find your handle when I'm Mom Wolf like Ross on air. I'm going to go on your handle. I'm going to search you and ka we tlhala di khantsa go le papa o nnetse go mara ribile kana ha re ke di metseto and fighting with your stepmom online. It is just, it's going to be there forever, and you have grossly and utterly dragged their privacy through the mud, and you have put them out there because not only are they going to find that, but I get it, when they get older, parents have more open conversations with their kids as you get older. So when your child befriends Agatha's child, and Agatha sees you for the first time, about ke nananyana wa ga Ross, hey, ta ke go bolelle little Agatha, kana Ross's parents used to fight online, and now that Agatha's little child is going to search that online and now start spreading it, amongst their friends, now you have completely embarrassed this little person. And how do they recover from that?
And I think for me, what is also the saddest part of all of this is the fact that when we do these things, read post, re romana mo di Facebook, do you know how much we dishonor our parents? Because nobody is saying Rose ke mang. Everybody is saying ngwana ke ngwana ga mang. And it's so disheartening. Gore e re ha re dira yana ha re nke re considera gore boitshwaro jwa rona is a reflection gape mo batsading ba rona. So we are embarrassing our parents. It's like the gentleman was saying, motho ta ba bata di likes, o bata di likes ka mekgwa ya le sa nnang sente a lebala gore o tsere sengwe le sengwe o sa anegile ko, and boitshwaro jo ga se boitshwaro jo e leng gore ke boitshwaro jwa boleng. So in essence, I think our biggest problem, and I've said this for like ages and ages, ba tswana ga bana etiquette ya maranyane, ba tshwantsho ba ye social media training.
Let's take a little break, all right? It's time to cross over now to our friends from Ace of Sports, and then come back and continue our conversation on the Wellness Pod. Please be a part of this conversation. We'd love to hear from you on our WhatsApp line, +267 3956 962. And, hopefully we'll come back to some WhatsApps. We'll take some voice notes as well, all right? 8:49 is your time now on Gavs FM, power to engage your world. Whole studio is charged up on the news of FNB's sponsorship of the BFA. Bukar 54 million ating hutile pepo na itsaya wellness pod itsaya. You know what I'm saying? It really makes a difference when you see other people and other organizations being elevated. It just puts that fire in you.
Absolutely.
It's possible for you to as well. We can build. And organizations like FNB are absolutely helping us do things like that. So
100%.
Shout out to them.
Yes.
And shout out to the plug that we're giving them here on the Wellness Pod. We won't invoice today. Maybe another episode, right? We'll have them on here, in due time. Hopefully just put that out into the universe, right?
Yes.
So if you are only just tuning into our conversation now, unfortunately, we are bringing it to a close, as well as the series that we're doing here on the Wellness Pod. This is a space that we've opened up on this show to be able to community build, have important conversations. Le Botswana, +267 3956 962. We had a caller before we had to cross over to Tepo Slow and Miss G Go Likidi. But if you are still tuned in right now and you would like to weigh in on anything that we were in discussion discussion about, you are absolutely still welcome to do so. +267 3956 962. Now, Agatha.
Yes.
Because we have now agreed, we are wrapping up blended families.
Yes.
Next week, there's much to talk about here on the Wellness Pod.
Absolutely.
Let's close off with, as broad as it is.
Yes.
What does a functional blended family look like?
A functional blended family. They are focused on a common goal. So it's the biological parents and the new parents, the step parents. The people in that family baberka mmogo for the sake of bana, for their own sakes, and hela for their own mental health, the mental health wa bana. It's all about wellness and creating an environment that's peaceful where people work together. We are not saying that we're not going to have arguments. We're not saying that from time to time. But we are conscious enough and self-aware enough to be able to problem solve, to be able to hear what other people are saying, to take into consideration what other people are saying. We are sensitive to the fact that these children have not only lost stability, but they are coming into a new environment, and to some extent they have lost botsadi in that that thing is gone, but we can still make up for it by this new family. We are saying that in this blended family, everyone is heard. Everyone is allowed to express themselves, regardless of how tiny or how silly that it might be. Bana ba bonwa. The step parents dia bonwa. The biological parents dia bonwa.
And the network that flows beyond all of these people as well.
All of that. Le bone, they are engaged because bon kukuba bana babotokwa, le bon kukuba bana babasha babotokwa. Bo auntie, bo malume, everybody is a part of this family, which then takes us back to who we used to be as Botswana. So this thing is there, it's been there, we just strayed away from it.
Yeah.
As we come to the close. So so we didn't see the step part. We just saw a child. That's why that one caller wila bua arobotsa gore kante mathata keng ngwana ke ngwana. Why can't we just accept people? Because wa kanteng indeed this thing used to be there. So I think what we need to consider as we blend our families, emphasize the element of huikaga.
Right. We cannot bypass that. There's no skipping that step.
There is no skipping that. So at the end of the day, we all need to understand that for this thing to work, we all have to bring 100%, be logical, be rational, be courteous, be polite about things. You don't always have to be charged, and learning how to communicate how the step parent as the step parent there's also a way you have to be the bigger person. Exactly. This is not Facebook. That's why your relationships in the office, your relationships relationship is a Facebook because so in closing, Hela Rossi, Homo Hobokete, Batswana Homo Hahu, Hahumotuhu, Ibile, Honabokete, Luhuheta, Hausa Bula, Peloya Hahu. Me at the end of the day, Rebata Bana, Lele Rapa, Lele is a true reflection and representation of who we are as Botswana. That is loving people. Batwabanang leboto, batwabatsanang yakabatu.
What a way to wrap up this 3-part series that we have enjoyed here on the Wellness Pod. Ending off our conversation on blended families. Kanya go kopana malwapa, right?
Yes.
Go kopanya malwapa. And it is really not an easy endeavor. If you are considering it, if you've had the chance to listen to the last couple of episodes, or if you've just stumbled on the conversation now as we're having it, you really take it as something that you need to comb through your own emotions and your own, where you are right now, and really be honest about where you are. Nobody will ever fault you for thinking about it and coming to a decision. I can't. Let's take a caller before we end off. Gabs FM, good evening.
Good evening.
Dumela ra le kae?
I'm good.
Ra go amogela mo Wellness Pod. Thank you so much.
Inspire tota.
No, that's amazing. Thank you so much. That means a lot to us, Tota. Thank you so much, truly. Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for your listenership, sir. Enjoy the rest of your evening, all right? That's the kind of feedback we love getting here on the Wellness Pod, because again, as I keep mentioning, and I'll continue to mention on the Wellness Pod, you know what I mean? We are not having these conversations to satisfy our own urges for conversation. We do that on WhatsApp, Agatha and I, So these conversations are open to Motswana and has an interest in along with themselves. It's not an individual endeavor. We are all in this together. And, that's what we're here to prove on the Wellness Pod. So if there's also anything that you would like to talk about, again, this feature is for you. +26739569662 is where you can, guys, can you consider this, or can you get into that? I'd really like to hear about that. We are absolutely open to that. And, we can see how to go about things. So next week on the Wellness Pod, we will be starting a new series as well. We'll leave it to next week to announce what that will be. And then come and present it to you. All right. But Agatha, thank you so much for joining me as usual on the Wellness Pod. Can we know where to reach Ikage Motswana so that we can have the conversations with you?
On Facebook, we are on Ikage Motswana. Mo YouTube, Ikage Motswana The Pod, where we have a lot of videos on socialization. There's a lot of information there. If you want to contact us for coaching, consultation, we are on 75749948.
This episode is proudly brought to you by FS Mail Group.
For my people.